Forward Live with Neil Tricarico. Happy Thursday afternoon. So grateful to be here live with you. And I'm really excited because we have a special guest today, and she is having difficulty logging in. And I was wondering when this was going to happen because I was so set on doing live, and now I know what it's really like to do live TV. So she is working on it. I feel confident that she's going to join, and that gives me a second to kind of tee things up and gives you all a second to get comfortable, to get situated. And so remember, the Endurant Way has been built out of tremendous loss and grief, and we established this safe place and room so that you don't have to carry it alone. This is for adults who are carrying something they're struggling to move past. That could be like myself, the loss of a child. It could be like it could be the loss of a loved one, a spouse, the loss of a relationship, even loss of a job or material things. I mean, loss is loss. There's no comparison. There's no we just don't do that. So, and today's episode is really focused on someone who doesn't have someone else to share this with, or may not feel they have a community that they're blessed with that can help them. And this is our third episode, and I've shared in the past two that I feel really fortunate and blessed for the folks that I've had access to that are part of my chosen family: Tony Robbins, David G, so many numerous others. And between my wife Samar and I, our community is quite vast, and we're so grateful for that. And we really want to and have built the Endurant Way to create community for others so that you don't have to struggle with what you're going through alone. And now I'm just kind of passing time, but I'm hopeful that Susan can join us. And if she is unable to, I will do my best to carry it forward. And I also realize this is only our third episode, our third live, and being 51, 52 this coming Monday, I can't see anything. So I'm going to count on you, Irvin, if there are any comments. It looks like some boxes are popping up. Maybe I'll interact with some of those folks while we're waiting. Of course we do. Dory's like just my sister from another mother for sure. Her fingerprints are all over this, and she's actually a big part of the story that I'm hoping to cover with Susan here in a moment. Okay, cool. It sounds like we have others viewing as well. Well, yeah, so the topic that we're going to be focusing on is that you don't have to carry this alone. And we're live, and this is live TV. And I didn't have a plan B, but I do think pretty well on my feet. So I think what I'm going to do is thank you, Dory. You're big part of this community, and your fingerprints are all over what we're doing here. And yeah, so I think we'll dive in. I will share the story, and if it turns out that we can get Susan in, then we'll pick right back up with it. But what I wanted to share today is, again, for those of you who are in the room, and for those of you who be maybe not consuming this live, but as part of the ongoing podcast, is you don't have to carry this alone. Your loss, your pain, you may be suffering. In my experience, and what I wanted to share today was how that first pebble drop that let me breathe, and for a moment, the necessary moment that I needed to rise up out of suffering and once I was able to rise out of suffering, a world of possibility opened up for me and for my family and for my son. And today's guests would be Susan Howard. And Susan founded the CORE Mastermind Group. And CORE is a tremendous community of which Dory is a part of, and some others that are joining here to celebrate the both of us doing this. And it's so powerful because she created this space and place where folks can come together, be vulnerable, be raw and real, and grow and heal together. And are you hearing that, Irvin? The dog barking? Oh, love it. We are just full live TV today. Stand by. Figured we have the heat. It's like 80 degrees outside and probably close to 100 in here with all the lights and stuff. So I was trying to keep the doors and windows open. And we got my dog, and then we've got technology issues. So welcome to live TV. So picking back up, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna share today's lesson. So as I've shared as part of the backstory, my family's loss was significant and profound to us, losing our son Anthony. And Anthony was hospitalized for 9 weeks, and on the second or third day, I can't remember, and Dory's on, she might remember, but Susan and Dory reached out and they asked if they could spin up, for lack of a better word, a joining of faith's prayer circle, or an all faiths prayer circle. And of course, we said yes. We didn't know anything about it, and certainly there was nothing for us to do, but we were so traumatized and in a fight or flight state, doing everything we could to try and save our son's life. And it was so intense and it was so emotional and so fight or flight that we could just barely think. And I remember when this was first offered, there wasn't even capacity to think about it or decide whether or not we should do this. It sounded like a really good idea. And what happened that night was there were about 75 people, many of whom my wife and I didn't know because we didn't have too much time or capacity to get it out to people we knew. But some 75 people showed up that night, and they prayed over Anthony. They prayed over my family and me. Is that her? That looks like her. No? Okay. Okay, cool. Hey,
So
Susan.
sorry about that. I just could not do it, and I had to call in technical support.
Well, your timing is perfect because I stalled out pretty good. I just was, and I don't know. I took on this challenge. I wanted to do live TV, and what a unique opportunity it was. And so there's a few notes for myself to be ready for a plan B. But really, I was just passing time, interacting with some people that are on, and
Wonderful.
kind of queuing up the story. And okay, so maybe it was the first night. It was all such a blur to me. So Susan, you're just kind of parachuting in, but right on time. I really set the stage of, and let me set it for you. The purpose of this show and the work that we're doing at the Endurant Way is so that we don't have to carry it alone, so that we don't have to carry pain, loss, trauma alone. And this is for adults who are struggling with something they can't move past. It could be loss, like you and I have experienced. It could be loss of a loved one. It could be loss of a relationship. It could be loss of job, material things. But this is for adults who are carrying some unresolved pain that they can't get through. And I'm so grateful to have you on tonight because it's also for folks like myself. When you're in that trauma, when you're experiencing that fight or flight, you're not thinking of asking for help, nor would you know what to ask for. And you and Dory and the core community just leaned in with such love and support,
Mm.
and were the initial pebble drop for all of this. And so, by way of introduction, I can now introduce Susan Howard, the founder of the core mastermind. And as I was sharing before she got on, this is a powerful community that she's created for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to lead with heart and connection and know the actual secret that business growth has less to do with actual business X's and O's, that it's a true spiritual game and loving and connecting with your clients. And I was thinking about it today, Susan. We met in 2012, so
Oh
it's
my
coming
God,
up
right?
on 15 years. But
Amazing.
welcome. So glad to
Thank
have you.
you. Thank you so much. It's great to be here and very excited about what you're creating here. I mean, one of the things I just appreciate about you and the possibility is um, taking something that is absolutely unspeakably painful and turning that into something that can can be game changing in the world. I mean, really can help people in so many extraordinary ways, and just rising to that. And sometimes it's really hard to rise, and you've done an amazing job of that.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And I'm so deeply touched. And also to hear the word possibilities, because I'm still in the core mastermind, and it's a big principle of what we're focusing on this year is that possibilities abound, and even in the most difficult of times, they exist. And really, my outcome for this, Susan, is I feel in many ways blessed because I do have such a loving community, and between Samar and I, a lot of people that care about us, and people like yourselves and others who I've been, blessed to know and work with. And I really want to, over the course of our time together over this episode, unlock for people who may not have such community some seeds that they too can reach for, to help them out of what they may be struggling with, or to help someone out of what they might be struggling with. So what I wanted to do is, I'm curious how this all came about. It was such a blur, and Dory reminded me it was the first night. I thought it was the third night. But what can you take us behind the scenes? I mean, what led you and Dory um, to reach out? Right? I mean, this wasn't something I asked for, I knew to ask for, I had any capacity to ask for, but somehow you had decided and put this together, and I'm curious how that came about.
Yeah, it was actually, the idea was very spontaneous. I mean, as soon as I heard what was happening with Ant, it was really clear to me that number one, this was not something that you needed to go through yourself, and number two, that there is a power. I mean, healing circles have been around for centuries. I mean, the idea of a healing circle or a prayer circle is not new. And a few years ago, we had studied Lynn McTaggart's work. And her work, she has a book called Circles of Eight,
Hmm.
and she's a scientific journalist. And she did a very interesting study on healing circles and found that if you have eight or more people, this was her finding, if you have eight or more people, that they're able to actually create some extraordinary results. And we had experimented with it a bit in our core community. Dory, in fact, had been in a car accident and her back had been bothering her. And we did a healing circle for her, and her back healed. And Carson had a was having an allergy issue, and then we did a healing circle, and his allergies alleviated. I'm not permanently at that time, but at that moment. So I was convinced that there was something to it, right? And I thought, let's come together. I mean, Anthony is still alive, and let's come together and and as a community, as core, and we've experienced this together. Let's do a circle. And then Dory said, "Can we invite other people?" And I'm like, "Of course,
Mhm.
bring in more people." So that's how we ended up having the size group that came for that. But it was clear to me that something needed to be done, and we'd had experience with the healing circle, and if there was something in him that could still heal, I wanted to have the group support that.
Mm. I've I'm just trying to catch my breath because I hadn't heard that, or how that came about. And you said something at the very beginning of your share here that it's something to the effect of, we didn't want you to be alone, or to go it alone. And that's the exact outcome, and hope for outcome for this talk, and for the work we're doing with the Endurant Way, is because it was so frightening and it was so shocking, and especially the cause for Anthony. We felt so alone and so fearful and uncertain, and just wanting to be alone. And it yet it makes so much sense, this idea of a circle, and coming together, eight or more. And for us, I've shared this so many times in so many different ways. When I say us, Samara, me, Anthony, my daughter, my family, it was so profound because I've been called in the past to pray for people, to send my intentions. Somebody's having a surgery, somebody got in a car accident, and I'm someone who believes that act is really powerful. So I will drop to my knees and I will pray. I will send good vibes and good intentions, and just transparently, I feel good about doing that, but I never know what happens, how
Mm,
it's received. But what I could share with you that night, it was so extraordinary. There were people there from so many different faiths, so many different beliefs, some of whom I know have very strong feelings about their faith and their beliefs. Yet there
mhm,
was something magical about that experience, that people shared through their beliefs and through their lens, and it all seemed loving and caring. But for us, no matter the lens, Jesus died on the cross so that Anthony could. And the Zohar is believed that Anthony is in favor because, in the Buddhist tradition, what have you, the experience, the receipt was just pure love and light. And truthfully, I talk about the ripple effect all the time. I still feel it to this day. I can feel in my physiology at a soul
mm.
level that
Wow.
people are thinking about us, caring about us. The the initial impact on Anthony was miraculous, and then
Mm,
equally important, the impact on us as we were navigating these challenges. It is
mhm,
real.
yeah, it is real. I mean, it creates an energy, right? So
Mhm.
there's an energy that we all hold that energy together, and we were visualizing him as
Mhm.
healed and well, and all of that, and holding that in the space with you guys, and then you're physically in the space with him. So
Yeah,
all of that, I really believe that all of that transfers.
it
Yeah.
does. And it had a profound and miraculous impact on him. And even though ultimately it wasn't the impact that we had hoped for him,
Hmm.
without question, its impact on my family and me was extraordinary, because I
Yeah.
I believe suffering had me and us incapacitated, but it was that first feeling of connection, that feeling of community, that feeling of love, that allowed us to just lift up, feel something different, feel possibility, feel not
Mm,
alone, not ashamed.
yeah.
and not the fight or flight and all that was real, but the panic and the fear somehow was transmuted in some way because of the love we were feeling.
I was also struck in that group by like how many different faiths were present and how people were bringing it,
Mm-hmm.
from all, I mean, we had Hindus and Buddhists and Christians and Jews and agnostics and, and everybody was bringing who they were into the space, which is the whole point of it. It's not to be a particular faith unless you're forming one for that reason. But in
Mm-hmm.
this particular case, everybody was there for you. Everybody was there for Samara. Everyone was there for Anthony. And that everything else was kind of secondary about that. The purpose of our gathering together was to support you guys and to
And,
do it in whatever way they can. And as it continued, I mean, people brought all those different varieties of beliefs and faiths and prayers and invocations and all of that, and it was beautiful.
it was, and it's really taking me back to those 9 weeks because you know it was so fascinating to just piggyback off what you're saying. There were so many people who don't agree with each other on the biggest of beliefs, right? And yet there was this confluence, this coming together. I mean, really, faiths joining. It was even like all faiths welcome, but joining in faith, and the amplification of the love was extraordinary, and its impact on us was really transcendent. And it was fascinating because each Sunday a new person
Right.
raised their hand,
That's
and
right.
you, they led through their lens, and I feel like it opened up different possibilities and different experiences for other people.
Yeah, and I mean, with something like this, it's not like there's a right way to do it. It's I didn't have like the manual on here's how you lead this. And so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have anything to turn over to somebody else and say, okay, here, I mean, somebody asked me, make some suggestions. But when people have a really profound experience that's deeply meaningful to them, I know that you were impacted, but all of us were. We all felt an incredible sense of community and love and caring in that
Mm-hmm.
community. And when people have an experience like that, um, they don't need they don't need to be encouraged to step up. They're, people will just naturally do it. They'll organic. It's like I want to lead this, or I'm going to bring this to the next one. And so there's a way in which that just happens quite naturally, which is what happened there. And again, people brought very different styles of the way that they led the group together, but it was all for the same purpose, and everyone was there for the same purpose.
It resonates with me so much, and I want to dive into that thread a little bit more because it was quite impactful for us, obviously. And a lot of times in the work that I've been doing the past couple of years, people will say to me something like, "Well, isn't it heavy? Isn't it a lot? Isn't it hard?" And I have to tell them, like, um, early on, it was life saving for myself because the purpose was is what kept me north of my suffering, and that purpose being greater than my pain is what enabled me to step forward and act. So the giving back for me, or paying it forward, has impacted me more than anything else that I've done in the 2 years since
Wow.
Anthony's passing. So I'm curious if you could expand upon it a little bit more, or Irvin. It looks like maybe Dory is saying something. I would love to understand a little bit more about those of you that were on the call and its impact on you specifically. Did Dory say something there, Irvin? Cool. I wish we could pull Dory in live, but maybe Dory, you could share a comment in there what the experience was like for you. Is there anything more you would add, Susan, as a participant? How you left feeling? Did you feel more sad for us, more or fulfilled up, some combination of both? I mean, what was that experience
No,
like?
no, I mean, for me, it was a feeling of, honestly, it's like I felt absolutely compelled to do something.
Mm,
Out of all the things that I could do, this felt like the best something that I could, make happen or pull together.
mm,
And so for me, it was just a wonderful feeling of the fulfillment of that beyond what I even had hoped for. That
mhm.
so many people, I mean, a lot of people came to that first one.
Yeah,
And I was just whelmed, not overwhelmed, I was whelmed
yeah.
by that. And also the sense of, I mean, my purpose in life is about building conscious communities. And
Mhm,
so for me, it was again this experience of being a member of a beautiful conscious community that, yeah, I started it, but everybody continued it and made it happen. So that was very fulfilling for me, but also just the experience of being in a community of people that are there for the same purpose.
mm. I,
Yeah.
I, I
And
want to I want to piggyback on both those things because
yeah.
your gift and your superpower is actually what I wanted to get into next because I think it'll help people the most and also the paying it forward. But as I shared jokingly before you arrived, I'm going to be 52 on Monday and I can't read these comments. So Irvin is in my ear. I would just love to hear what um, Dory said. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it was a place to come and experience love, and love was so present. That's so powerful too, because in many ways, I feel like it is the quintessential definition of love. I struggle with sometimes like the articulation of love and the experience of love has become so conditioned, especially with spouses or loved ones. I loved you, or children. I love you. See you later. I love you. Good night. I love you. And we love them, but the communication just becomes conditioned. And I
Uh-huh.
too felt like overwhelming, or for me, it was overwhelming sense of, gosh, this is what love like truly feels like
Yeah.
on blast. This I could almost feel the not almost I could feel the tethers, the connection between
Hmm.
my heart and Anthony's heart and soul and everyone else. It was just
Yeah.
magical. I really appreciate you sharing that part of it, Dory.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's awesome. And I think you see the comments there as well. And she's talking about the overlapping communities. So it was so powerful how communities came together. People got to know one another. And I want to be sure, I think what you shared, Susan, is a really important transition because that was my story. And I could sit in it and be reminded of it for the rest of the time we have together. But the most important outcome that I want for listeners is to unpack, because you are a master at community and connection. I mean, there is no other place that I felt greater community and connection
Mhm.
than in this core group that you've set up, and that seems to be your purpose in life. So if we are wanting to solve for somebody who's listening, who's at home, who may not have the benefit of someone just volunteering to shower with them with love and community, how could we unlock community for them?
All right, let me say a few things about it. I mean, first of all, I have never tried to build a community around agreement. In core, like you said, there's different faiths and backgrounds and very different political perspectives and all of that. So I've never tried to build it around that. I've tried to build it around curiosity, genuine interest and curiosity and respect.
Mhm.
And I think that we become confused as a culture, and around assuming that connection comes from that we believe the same things. Certainly, it can happen, but there's a lot of people who believe the same things who don't connect. So my experience has been almost the opposite. Connection comes from being deeply interested in one another rather than we're all necessarily interested in the same thing. So in core, people come from different faiths, different, different backgrounds, different industries, all of that. And we don't ask anyone to leave their convictions at the door. We ask them to bring their whole selves to make enough room for someone else to have their whole self be in it. So we're united by something that's bigger than our differences. And everyone in this group, the thread that we have is that everyone's trying to become more conscious and more fully themselves. But I think that that's a universal journey. I don't think that that's unique to core. It's just that what's unique is we all come together with understanding that and having that be intention. And then, as you experienced in the circle, in the healing circle, I've always believed that the room itself becomes the teacher rather than I'm the teacher or you're the teacher. Everyone has something to bring, to offer, and something to learn. And when people feel genuinely seen, they feel not judged. They just feel like they're being seen. They stop feeling alone, right? And that's when transformation begins. So, like, we could all be with you and see what you are going through, and be there, with you and for you. But I would tell anyone who does not have a kind of a community in place to not wait for someone else to create that community for them. And you can start ridiculously small, like invite one person to coffee, ask somebody a question that you've never asked them before, call someone who's also going through something difficult and say, I don't have answers. I just didn't want you to go through this alone, right? So communities almost never begin with a crowd, right? They begin with an act of courage, like an invitation, a conversation, a walk, a dinner around a kitchen table. So we think of, a lot of times we think of a community as something we go find, but a community is something you can build. And so that's what I would encourage people to do, is to like build your community one person at a time.
This has been something through the my experience of deciding whether and how I wanted to go about this work and helping others. And the biggest challenge for me was how do I articulate something that seemed to happen to me because I'm blessed with such community and articulate it. It's like the struggle, right? If it's like, oh, well, you had all this. What do I do if I don't? And I just knew with certainty, if I had you on, you could articulate it for someone. And I feel like we could just stop the episode right here because that was so magical and powerful. But some things that I want to touch back on, some really important words that you shared. But number one is courage. And I think it's so powerful that you said communities are built, they're not just found. And that's a big distinction for me because I was thinking maybe say, well, you got to go find this community, but this is the true breakthrough. It's like if you're carrying something heavy and you're struggling, all you have to be is curious, who is one person you could courageously share vulnerably to and have community with, because it's my hypothesis and experience that if you just have one, um, now you're not alone. And it sounds like there's something about eight as well. And I don't really know what to add to what you've shared there because it was just so magical and filled in such a gap for me personally.
Yeah, and also when you start to in like you become the person that includes people rather than waiting to be invited, waiting to be included. When you do that, it offers to other people a sense of inclusion and belonging, and then you have it too. So you're all, you know, everyone's getting the benefit of that, even if it's one other person
Mm.
feeling included, feeling invited, feeling cared about.
And it's just trying to think through that a bit. Like my mind is just popping because another concept that comes up often in grief is that love is grief is love that has no place to go. And I think that's what keeps people stuck sometimes because yes, the bounty or plentitude of love that you have for the person that's no longer physically here, that you can't physically give to, there that love still exists and there are places to go. So if you use that courage and if you get curious and you know you still have that love, then that you could pour that love into that first person. Like that's what you're saying is you be the one. If you want community, go create community. You have that love, you feel stuck in it, go give it to someone else, create that community, and then maybe there'll be that ripple effect to create even more. Does that
Absolutely.
sound aligned with what you're sharing?
Yeah, I mean, because everybody really wants to have a sense of belonging, and everybody is going through something.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is going through some I've never met somebody who isn't going through something. When
Yeah.
you're going through a death, it's there's a level of intensity to what you're going through, but everybody is going through something. And so you can connect at the level of just belonging as a human being. And, you know, I'm here for you. And if you're there for somebody, they will be there for you.
Connect at a level of human being. It's so powerful, and I'm really um, boy, I'm so touched by what you're sharing. I mean, I could think up other questions, but do you, anything else you would add to that? Because this is so rich.
Thank you. No, I mean, you know, when we started with core, when core started, how I put core together was I just called up a bunch of people I knew that I thought would appreciate a community like that. And I said, "Hey, I'm putting this group together. It's about this. Want to come?" I mean, it was pretty much like that. And in that first group, we had 16 people, but it was an invitation, and then some of them invited a friend and all of that, and so that's how we began. But I just thought of, who do I want to gather with? Who do I
Mm-hmm.
want to gather with? And I reached out. I didn't wait for a community to form. It's
Mm-hmm.
always been my reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
That's
let's talk
major.
through and unpack a little bit about what you. Oh, go ahead. Hold on. What's that, Urban? Yeah. Yeah, see, in all caps, that I can see. 51 and 3/4. I could see Susan has so much wisdom in all caps. Maybe we should have people write their comments in all caps because that one I could read. But both, but both Susan and Dory brought up something powerful that I would love to dive into a little bit. This idea of everybody's going through stuff. It's so fascinating because I've always known that to be true, and I think I'm a pretty caring guy and human being. And I've understood intellectually that um, everyone's going through stuff, and I, over the course of my lifetime, have seen a lot of people going through a lot of stuff. I personally hadn't faced a lot of adversity until this experience of losing Aunt in this way.
Mm.
Um, but what I could share with you, what I would have come, because many people tell me, oh, it's like this unimaginable to lose a child and to lose a child to suicide, and it is all quite unimaginable. But I've come to meet so many people in the past 2 years who have had significant loss. Like I feel like the experience or intellectual understanding that everyone's going through stuff is now shifted to a physiological experience where I find I wonder if I'm waiting online somewhere or I'm at the beach and I'm watching a family with young kids. Like I start to wonder what they might be going through or what they might be
Mhm.
struggling with. And I think that's such a powerful perspective, especially if we could ground it in our core in the way that you have is starting from a place of, gosh, I have, especially with people we meet that are struggling or maybe in some intense type situation, but that space between to understand first that everyone's going through something because
And not only going through something, but everyone has also experienced loss.
mhm,
And many people have experienced devastating loss,
yeah,
right? And so when you share with somebody about a loss that you're dealing with, people can relate to it in some way. I mean, some people, I've lost a child, you've lost a child. People can relate to that who have had that specific experience. But I also lost my brother, we all lost Carson.
yeah,
We've all had the experience. I've lost my dad, you've lost so everyone has had that experience of loss. And so even though there's a specific unique tragedy to the situation that you went through with your son, everyone can relate to it in some way and feel in their own mind and body and heart what that loss is like.
mhm,
Right? So you feel more, people can connect with things that you may not think. Nobody could understand this, nobody could possibly, not exactly, but they can get close.
mhm.
They can get close and they can be present for you when you're going through yours.
It's reminds me it was such a meaningful and significant experience for me, that distinction, right, that first moment. And quite frankly I'm pretty sure it was you. Those 9 weeks, they're such a blur for me, but I'm pretty sure it was you were the first person who shared with me about losing a child. And I remember, I mean, I've certainly known people who have lost child. I mean, I lost my best friend, and obviously I'm really close to his mom. She lost a child, but that first moment of not feeling terminally unique, right? Like that this happens to other people as well.
Yes, yeah, we will all lose everyone eventually.
Yes,
Yeah. And
we
that
will.
there's a truth to that, so I
Yeah,
mean, I what I appreciate you is that you made a commitment to being alive and being here for other people, because
yeah,
that's what because I mean, the loss of somebody in your life who's been a part of your life can allow you to have a to move on in a way that honors that honors who they were. And I think
yes.
that you've done just a beautiful job of that. And I want to say one other thing too. All those people who came to that circle, those were people that I didn't know. I mean, I knew the core people. I didn't know anybody else in that circle. You knew everybody. You knew everybody, right? So those are relationships that you have spent a lifetime building with people. And yes, of course they showed up, but also, Neil, you have do a remarkable job of being present for other people and for their process and what they're going through. And that is not lost on anybody. I mean, you're an extraordinary person, and you bring a lot to whoever you're in a conversation with, and you're caring and interest in them. And so, of course, that I seeing that large of a circle around you did not surprise me.
Well, thank you. I received that, and I'm touched so deeply, and I just want to share them all with anyone who may not be blessed with such a network, or maybe is introvert and
Mhm.
doesn't have as many friends or hasn't. built that up, because the impact is so extraordinary of from that love and connection. And what struck me the most towards the end was the number of people who were showing up that I or we didn't know. This last 4 or 5 weeks, there'd be like 5 to 20 people. I guess people are sharing with them the impact that it had on them. But I've kind of covered what I wanted with you, but I have this concept that I really think you might have some wisdom on. So I'm just gonna put it out there. So following along the vein of, everyone's going through stuff and everyone has loss, and we'll all lose everybody here at some point. What I'm really, when we can connect with someone who's lost in the way we have, I find one of two things happen, but primarily one thing happens. So, for example, early on in this process, Samar and I would go to um, support groups, right? Support groups for parents who have lost kids, support
Mhm.
groups for parents who have lost children to suicide. And while almost immediately I wouldn't feel terminally unique, I felt this shared experience, this empathy
Absolutely.
for this experience we were both having. And no one could relate like folks in this group, not even my own parents or anyone else other than my wife, because it's not their child.
Right.
So in so many ways, the connection was like no other. But what we found by and large when we left is we didn't leave feeling better. That so much of the conversation was around the loss, the heartache, how difficult it is to interact with friends or family members who don't understand the level of pain and the suffering that I was experiencing. um, I almost had to stop going. And then it was actually Lisa Margulies from Core. I was telling her, like, I don't think I could go anymore, because I feel like it's pulling me into suffering. And she's like, that's exactly the reason you have to keep going. You have to try and show them the light, show them the way. So I wonder if you have any insight or wisdom around that aspect, this idea of trying to help people see past their suffering.
Yeah, I don't think you, I mean, my experience, you can't until someone's ready to. And in many ways, it's disrespectful to try to pull somebody out of a suffering they're not ready to be free of yet.
Mm,
So you went to that thing for as long, to those meetings for as long as you needed. There was something it gave you.
mm-hmm,
Even though it didn't make you feel better, there was something important about going and just hearing that I am not alone in this.
mm,
Other people are going through something like
mm.
this. And there are people who understand that. So I'm not the only person in the world going through this. So, but I don't think you can move somebody out of suffering that they're not done harvesting yet, because there's a value in the suffering. There's something that you, other than just the suffering itself, um, there's something that is happening inside for you around suffering, and something that is needed, and it's not a bad thing. So I think there's an honoring of people are in it. I'm not here to pull anybody out of their suffering. When they're ready to come out of their suffering, they will begin to emerge on that. But what you can do is you can say, I'm here.
Mm.
I'm here. I'm here for you while you're in it, and I'm here for you while you move out of
I am so glad that I asked that.
it.
Because, like, on the one hand, um, I agree, and intellectually, and well, I mean, I just agree. And but my heart wants to pull them out. And even as I was kind of putting together the framework for, the Endurant Way and this work that I want to be doing in post traumatic growth, I was working with somebody and they were saying like, oh, well, we'll move them from suffering to pain and then pain to purpose. And and what I really intuitively felt certain
Hmm.
about, and that's why I start each of these episodes, and all of my content starts with, this is for adults who have made the decision that that life still is available to them and they want to move forward. So like on some intuitive level, I agreed with what you've shared, but I hadn't thought about two very important breakthroughs that you provided me, and I hope that I imagine it'll be helpful for others as well. Is that one is that there is some value in suffering, harvesting from the suffering. I think Dory just shared, and uh, oh, Lewis, hey, welcome, Lewis. Harvesting from the suffering. Wow. Okay, my eyes are getting better. This is cool. Maybe I can't get closer, but this is awesome. Yeah. So um, harvesting the suffering. For me, it was like, okay, I got to stay out of suffering, because in suffering I'm incapacitated. So like, I just got to stay over here. I got to stay over here. But it's making me think about, maybe there's some work for me to explore. But me aside, for other people, the breakthrough for me was twofold. One, this idea of that there's value in suffering and harvesting from the suffering, so that don't skip past that. There could be learning, harvesting, growth in that. And then the second thing you shared is there's some reason you were going, and I think that's a powerful share for other people as they're navigating what modalities help them through their grief. It doesn't have to be one, or that you're staying in support groups, for decades or even years. There's this flow, ebb and flow, maybe, of, okay, I stayed there. I must have gotten something out of it. And then I moved on. So that I didn't articulate that as clearly as I wanted to, but the two breakthroughs is some value in suffering, harvesting and suffering. Anything more you could add about the harvesting part?
Well, no, I mean, what I would just say is that everyone's got their own journey with this. I mean, mine was very different than yours. Yours was different than a number of other people. I mean, there's a way you're going to move through it that is uniquely you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to do the things that you need for yourself. I mean, some people isolate for a while. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is okay. Everyone's always like, no, you can't, and you have to do this, and you have to get out of suffering. I mean, usually we're so uncomfortable with other people suffering that we want to get them out of it because we're uncomfortable with other people suffering. And I think that's the work, is to be able to sit in the presence of somebody who's going through something and just be there
Mm-hmm.
and be a space for them to go through whatever it is that they're having and whatever it is that they're going through, and not try to make them feel better. Or, as I said, it's disrespectful to pull people out of a suffering that they're not done with, or to try to pull them out of it. We want to honor exactly where they are.
Wow. I knew this was going to be powerful, you guys. So we're winding down here. Any other thoughts, Susan? Anything you might have wanted to share that we didn't cover?
No, I think we've had a good conversation about community, about the power of a community to have an impact and heal. I think we've had a good conversation about uh, when people are going through their grief process, how can you be there for them? For people who are going through it and want community, the idea of creating your community. I'm just, you can find a community, which you did, but you can also build one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll just
That
share
that
this one. I'll share this one last little story.
please.
Many years ago, I was visiting my parents in Los Angeles, and they're very social people, and they had a party they were going to that morning, and then the next day they were going to a party, and that evening they had tickets to a show they were going with me, and they had like four parties in the weekend that I was there. And I said, well, That's amazing. I said, I never get invited to parties. And my father looked at me and he said, "You never get invited to parties?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Why is that?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe people don't think I said, it's not that I don't think people like me. I said, I just don't think people think that I'll go to their party or that I'm the kind of person who'll go to, I don't know, you know." And he said, "Well, then why don't you just throw one?" And I thought, throw a party. Well, that's just never even occurred to me to throw one. So again, it's this idea. It's like you're kind of waiting for somebody to invite you to something. It's like I'm gonna be the invitation.
I'm going to be the invitation. I think that's the courage statement.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful you shared that with us, and I like to leave each episode with one takeaway. And I've come up with it. I feel like putting you on the spot, and when I say takeaway, something they can take away and do put into practice from this, so that they're not just having some experience. And I feel like putting you on the spot, what it could be. But I think
And who is the
what
they?
what's that?
Who to for whom?
The listeners, like the audience,
I see. Okay.
because this is live and it's diffused, so it's just your friends and my friends. But the place it's going is it'll be on podcast. People will listen, experience it. I want to transmit this out, so I want to have something that our audience can take with them. And
Mm.
I think what I've come up with really, but I want you to come up with something too as I'm laying it out, or maybe you're aligned with mine. But a couple of the words that you shared with me throughout this: courage, curiosity, um, you know, going first in terms of, instead of waiting to be invited to a community, going and creating a community, stepping in. So one of the things that that I've really struggled with in my own grief and still struggle with is like this feeling of um, how tired I am.
Mm.
I am so, it's not even like exhausted or sleep deprived. It's like it's a level of tiredness that sleep can't fix. So what I had come up with for a takeaway for the audience tonight was: tell one person one true sentence about how blank you are, right? So for me, that courageous act, or following along the lines of the theme of what you've shared with us, is reach out to somebody, share something vulnerable. So do you think that would be a good exercise, that good first
I think
step?
that's a wonderful first step is to just if you have not done that, at some point you're going to need to do that. If you can't get yourself to do that now, then be present to yourself. You know, be present to whatever pain you're in, whatever suffering you're going through. I'm a big fan of being present to what is going on in me without trying to change it right away. Like just allow myself to have that and to be present. If you're being there for somebody else who's going through something difficult, to really just be present. Don't fix it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to make it better. Can you just show up?
Mm,
Just show up.
mm.
Yeah.
So now we've got the tools for the giver and receiver. So if you're struggling, if you feel like help isn't available to you, or as close as it we're making it sound, share that one thing with someone vulnerably, someone close to you, an acquaintance or otherwise. And if it happens that you're on the receiving end of this, just as Susan has shared, um, be present with them. Just have that space to hold them and what they're going through. And before we leave here, I know Susan didn't want to do it, but I want to do it for her, because this is about a different type of community. But if you're a listener and you're a entrepreneur or business owner, and this conversation and what we've shared about the core mastermind sounds very interesting to you, I'm going to have that information in the show notes below, and you're welcome to reach out to me and or Susan about the great things in this extraordinary community that Susan has built and has impacted my life and so many of our lives. I wouldn't be here without that community, Susan, without you, Dory, Lewis, all y'all. Just,
Thank
just,
you.
just super grateful.
Yeah, we love you. We all love
Well,
you.
thank you. And so until next week, if you haven't already, please join the Way Forward Live by subscribing on the button below in YouTube. And until next week, know that peace is within you. The purpose is what comes next. And we're grateful to have you in our community and just honored. And what a privilege. Thank you so much, Susan, for all you shared here today.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you so
Thank you for
much.
inviting me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right.
Honor.